I'm so sorry I didn't post last week. I took a bit of a hiatus. I was not feeling well. I think it was a chest cold and I wasn't sure whether I had COVID or not. So I quarantined just to be on the safe side and went and took one of those tests, which I got back on Saturday, negative. Yeah! So I'm back to film more Epic Eats. So last Saturday after our weekly walk, my family drove down here to Cupertino Village Square to get some KFC or Korean fried chicken. And if you don't know what that is, check out my video here. Super tasty. Anyways, we found this place, JSJ Street Kitchen, that sold it, but more critical to this video, they had this new concoction that we'd never tried before that was kind of like a corn dog, but had all of these toppings like hash browns and squid ink, and we just had to try it. Oh my God, it was so good. So I did a bit of digging and found out that there's another Korean fusion street food called rice dogs. Okay, I know that's not super descriptive, so let me explain what they are. As you might have guessed, it's a Korean twist on the good old-fashioned American corn dog. But instead of a corn flour batter, the hot dog is rolled in a rice flour dough before it's then deep fried. Rice flour is literally mochi, so the end result is something that's crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside. So about a year ago, there was a whole wave of these rice dog chains hitting the US, mostly down in Southern California. And then up here in Northern California, there's JSJ Street Kitchen, which is an independent shop. And then there's also Myungrang Hot Dog, which is from South Korea. And it has stores here in Los Angeles, Honolulu, New York, Las Vegas, and Dallas. There is one other South Korean rice dog chain in the US called Chungcheon, but it's not up here yet in the Bay Area. And since I just tried JSJ Street Kitchen, I thought I'd hit up Myungrang, which is in the Cupertino Main Street, which is a hip shopping mall for foodies. Choices, choices. So you can either get a beef dog, a cheese dog, a half cheese, half beef dog, a sausage covered with cheese, cheese covered with cheese. This one's covered in potato cubes before frying. The batter here is mixed with squid ink. Oh my God, look at this one. This is a rice cake, which is essentially mochi. So mochi on mochi. Talk about a carb fix. Can I get a cheddar and sausage, potato mozzarella, a rice cake, and then a squid ink?
Koreans like the sweet savory thing, so the rice dog is then rolled in some sugar to finish it off. There are a variety of sauces you can top it all off with. Ketchup, mustard, honey mustard, spicy mayo, cheddar cheese, sweet chili sauce, and then 2 seasonings, honey butter and cheese. Might be because of COVID right now, but you request the sauce and they'll squirt it on for you.
Okay, I'm gonna take this behind the shop to eat. There's a little park here where I can just spread out and do picnics. All right, let's start with the cheddar sausage. For this one, I just went with the traditional ketchup and mustard. Ooh, I like that. There's something about the rice batter that makes it a lot lighter and the outside crispier. So for me, the main difference between the rice batter and the corn batter is that the rice batter tends to be a lot more dense and chewier, whereas the corn batter tends to be a lot softer and a lot more of that cakey texture. And then there's the taste. Even though rice and corn are both sugars, this tends to be a lot more bland and the corn is definitely sweeter. Okay, I'm also gonna give props for the meat, which I think is pretty good quality. It's soft and juicy. The store keeps calling this a sausage, but it's a hot dog. Cheese isn't too overpowering. I probably would prefer a little bit more in here. Okay, let's try the potato mozzarella next. This one I asked for number 3, which is supposed to be the honey butter seasoning with cheddar, but looks like it's ketchup. I'm gonna have to add the honey butter myself. There we go. This mozzarella has lost a little bit of its gooiness because it's cooled down. It took too long to set up, but still good. That honey butter is quite sweet, so you've got to really be into that sweet savory thing if you want to put that on there. The potatoes on this are kind of interesting. They remind me a little bit of bits of French fries stuck to the side of this. I'm a potato person and meh, I'd pass. I don't think it really adds that much in terms of flavor or texture since the outside of this is already pretty crispy. This one is half cheese, half hot dog and made with squid ink. And I love how they split the hot dog at the bottom so it looks a little bit like squid tentacles. Other than the black color, the squid ink is supposed to impart a little bit of that briny ocean water taste, but most people can't detect it. All right, let's go in for it. My mozzarella is probably all cooled and not very chewy by now. I'm definitely getting more of that mochi chew out of this one. The sugar is actually pretty nice on this. It gives it a little bit of an extra flavor accent, although they only really coated just one side. And even though this is the cheddar sauce, I've pretty much determined that all these sauces just taste like ketchup. I think so far this one's my favorite. Let's finish off with a rice cake, which should have a sweet chili seasoning on it. Very chewy. The Korean form of rice cake is called dok. And even though before I said it was like a mochi, there is one main difference in that dok uses regular rice flour mixed in with a glutinous rice flour so that it tends to have a much firmer texture than mochi, which if you've ever eaten mochi before knows it's a little bit more elastic. So I'm a huge rice cake fan, but even for me, this is too much. Having like this giant tube of dok is just super overwhelming. It's usually bland AF, and you've got to dunk it in a ton of sauce. So this rice coating here just does not do it for flavor. And that's another thing. Coating's gotten soggy, so no longer as crispy. I like the chili sauce on this. Let's try it with a cheese sauce. Yeah, that's more the ticket if you want the cheesy flavor. But as with most Asian flavors, the cheese really does not come out that strong, so don't expect like a Doritos equivalent. Okay, the moment of truth. I give these rice dogs a 6.5 out of 10. Initially when I had the squid, that was more around a 7.5, but I think after having sampled the whole panoply of things, the rating went down a little bit. You kind of got to eat it hot right off the fryer because once it cools down, that whole chewiness, crunchiness goes away. Same with the cheese, it loses that whole stringy gooey thing. And definitely just stick to the traditional hot dog. Everything else is kind of gimmicky at best, except for the squid ink, which I love. It is though amazingly filling and amazingly cheap. One dog is between $3 and $5, and that'll do you for lunch. I give it an A for being a great deal. All right guys, that will do it for me for today. Hope you're staying safe and sane, and until the next time, see ya!